Hi, welcome back to Saving Grace Homestead. Today is a beautiful day in Tennessee, and yesterday was a nasty rainy day, but today is beautiful. And so I thought I would get out here and give you an update, a little update on the homestead and our house situation, what's going on with that. And most importantly, I wanted to just take some time to give you some encouragement today. So whatever it is that you're going through, whatever you're feeling today, I hope that you'll leave this video feeling a little bit more encouraged, a little bit more hopeful, and have a little bit more peace in your life. Couldn't we all use a little bit of that? So pull up a chair and let's chat. Okay, so I figured I'd give you a quick look as to what we've been doing here over the past weekend. And so I bought this greenhouse, this little $40 greenhouse from Tractor Supply, and I will show you inside of it here. Whoop, sorry, kitty. All right, so let's step inside our little greenhouse. We've got our seeds started. And so I'm excited because while this is not a ton of seeds compared to some other homesteaders and farmers and such, it's more than we have ever planted, more than we've ever had space to plant. So I'm really excited that we'll have this many things planted this year. Next year, I definitely plan to expand that. But for this year, I'm trying to just get a feel for how much I can get in the ground, how much it's going to produce, and where that kind of puts us. So this is our practice year on this property. It'll be our first planting here. I also want to show you our, I bought some little fruit plants. I got these at Tractor Supply because, hey, Smokey. Hey, baby. Yes, you're so sweet. I got some blueberry plants and blackberry and raspberry and a couple different kinds of grapes. And so I'm excited to get some fruit bushes started as well. The kids are super excited. They can't wait to pick blueberries and raspberries and blackberries. They love it all. So that's what we got going in the greenhouse. So if you remember from a previous video, we had broken blocks that we were using for a project. But we still had a ton of blocks, ones that weren't broken. And so my husband has done, I will show you, a compost area. Oh, sorry, there's my finger. A compost area for me. We've also got some fencing stored in that one right at the moment. Hi, Smokey. So there's our compost bin, and this is going to be our garden space for this year. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to get some real compost going. Finally, I have been itching to get my compost pile started. So now I've got stalls to do that in, and we have not tilled up our garden. I know we're a little bit behind on that. But I'm hoping that this coming weekend we'll be able to get this ground started, and I'm excited to see our seeds start sprouting. And so that's what we've got going on here. That's what we've been working on, and I will fill you in on the house. Okay, so last time I talked, we were pretty close. We had approval and all of that, and we were just waiting for the final pieces. So the final piece was to get somebody out here to do a land assessment to see how much equity we would have to put toward our home loan. So the guy came out, and we have put a good chunk into this land so far. I mean, we've put in a gravel driveway, and we've put in septic and water and electric. We put a large shed and hooked that up to electric. And so he came out and he was like, wow, you guys have put a lot of value into it. And then we got the assessment back, and he said our land is worth exactly what we bought it for. Now, I'm not a math whiz, but I feel like there's something wrong with this man's addition. But apparently questioning assessors is not easy to do, and it's basically near impossible to get anywhere with it. So that was the nail in the coffin for our house situation. We're in this RV for an unknown period of time at this point. I have spent a little bit of time being discouraged by that, being a little depressed by it, being frustrated with the assessment that came back, but I was reminded of the fact that I told my husband back in November, December, that I just was feeling God telling me we need to wait. We just need to be patient. We need to be still. And then toward the end of December, as we got close to New Year's, I started feeling all this external pressure. We've got to hurry up and move. We've got to do something because, the price of the house is going up 3% January 1st. And bank rates are going to be going up, the interest rates are going to be going up. And so if we don't hurry up and move on this, we're going to be priced out of it, and we're not going to be able to move forward at all. And as is typical in our human flesh, we operate in our feelings. And so even though I knew that we had been told, just wait, just be still, just wait on me, we moved forward. Now, back before we ever purchased this land, we prayed that God would put up a brick wall in front of doors that we're not supposed to walk through. We knew that we were prone to make the wrong decision, prone to making emotional decisions, and we really wanted to make sure that if we were going to move forward with anything, that it was in line with God's will for our life, that we were walking in the purpose that He's given us, because outside of that, we were going to screw it up. So when we purchased the land, that went through smoothly. We sold our house easily within 2 weeks. But when it has come to putting a house on this property, it has been a brick wall. So in the meantime, what that means is we don't have a plan. And that kills me. I am not somebody who likes to just sit and be still and not have a plan. And because of that, I feel like God has frequently throughout my life put me in situations where I have to be still and not be in control and not have a plan, because clearly I have not fully learned that lesson yet. So that's where we're at. That's why my life verse is Psalms 46:10, be still and know that I'm God, because that is a theme that just keeps reoccurring in my life. Just be still, just be still, just trust, just sit and wait, and let me work. So that's where our house is. But that does bring me to the thing that I hope will encourage you is faith. I know a lot of people hear that word faith and it makes them bristle or turn away, and they just think, oh, this, religion stuff, or they think of a time where they've been hurt, or maybe it felt like God didn't come through, or they don't feel like God listens to them or doesn't love them or doesn't exist, or whatever it might be. And if that is you, I understand. I do. I understand. Maybe at some point I will share on here our adoption journey and the 7 years of struggle that we went through. That was the most faith-building season of my life. And when I say most faith-building season, I don't mean that it was, full of praise and worship and just me feeling so wonderful. Quite the opposite. I spent a lot of time yelling at God, telling Him that I wasn't really sure He was good, or that He even cared about me or listened to me whatsoever. I stopped praying for a while because I just felt like it was pointless. I've been there. And when I look back, I am so thankful for that season, because now I can see how God was so faithful and was so personal and so present, and he had a plan all along that I couldn't see in the midst of my hurt and my struggle, and sitting in the unknown. And so at some point I may share that story, but it does involve my child, so I feel like that's something that needs to be kind of a mutual decision, because it's not just my story. But just know that I've been there in the hurt, and I've been there in the doubt. But if you'll just stick with me, I hope that you'll still be encouraged, even if that word faith makes you feel uncomfortable or angry or whatever it might be. I still think that I can offer you some encouragement today. So what is faith? Is it wishful thinking? Is it ignorance? Is it holding on to something imaginary? Hebrews 11, I'm going to tell you, because the Bible gives us the definition of faith. And so really quickly, Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, if you happen to want to read along with me. It says, now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. And a few verses down it says, and without faith it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. So faith is being sure of what we hope for, right? And so for us, we hope to have a home, and because it's something that we will at some point need, our RV is not going to last forever. And yes, I have spent time telling God what he already knows, that the RV is not going to last forever. We cannot stay in it forever. We are going to need a home, and God knows all these things, but you know, it's okay. He has the time and the patience to hear me tell him what he already knows. And I know that he will provide, and I know that it will be in the right timing, and it will be at the right price, and it will be exactly what we need when we need it, because he's shown me before that he will do that. If you don't have that faith story to look back on, then I hope that mine will be a little bit of an encouragement to you today, because hard times build our faith if we let it. If we keep looking to ourselves and we keep just looking at our circumstances, then we're going to be weighed down. We're going to be discouraged. We're going to be depressed. We're going to feel overwhelmed and at a loss. But if we can stop and take our eyes off of our circumstances for just a moment and look up and say, all right, God, I don't know how this ends. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how this is all going to turn out, but I know that you're in control of it. And I know that before I ever faced a struggle, you already knew what the answer was. I know that, God, you can see beyond today, and you already see the answer. So I'm going to trust you with today. I'm going to trust you with tomorrow. And I know that you love me enough to get me through, and to get me to that point. And I know that you want good for me. Romans 8:28 is a really encouraging verse, and it says, I'll switch to it really quick. I had marked it. Romans 8:28 says, and we know that in all things, the painful things, the hard things, the happy things, the devastating things, the scary things, in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So if your desire is to walk in his purpose for your life, which is going to be good, That doesn't mean we have to define our terms for a moment, because our human nature sees good and bad in a very different way than God sees it. So we see good as things that feel good, that make us happy, that make us comfortable, that are easy. And we see bad as anything that is uncomfortable or hard, right? But that would be like saying that exercise is really bad for your body because it hurts and it's hard and you get sweaty and it's uncomfortable, right? But nobody in their right mind would say that's really unhealthy for you. That's a bad thing, right? No, it's good for you. Why? Because it builds muscle, it builds your lung capacity, it's good for your heart. Like, it helps you to stay in a healthy weight. These are all things that are good for you, but it comes through pain and discomfort, right? So that's the way that God's looking at it. Like, yes, this is uncomfortable. Yes, it's painful. And it hurts me that you hurt, but I know where we're going. So stick with me. I know this is hard, but I have your hand. I'm here with you. I'm in the midst of it with you. And if you'll trust me, if you'll take my hand, if you'll let me lead, I will get you through this, and it's gonna be good. I promise it's going to be good on the other side. You'll see if you'll just trust me. So trust in that. Romans 8:28. God is working all things together for good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. I hope that you will choose to walk in his purpose for your life today. And know that whatever it is you're going through, whatever it is you're struggling with, worrying over, give it over to God. Let him walk you through it. Let him lead. And he's going to work it together for your good. There's a story in Matthew chapter 8 where Jesus and the disciples are out on a boat and this storm comes along. And I think it's such a good story to remind us of faith versus fear. And if I look at what we've been going through the last couple years and how much fear there's been, even in the church. And so for those of you who were looking for encouragement and hope, if you looked to people of faith, if you looked to the church and you didn't find that, on behalf of Christians and the church, I apologize, because there's a lot of fear. And I think a lot of people have been living in fear, have been consumed by fear. And we have forgotten that fear and faith cannot coexist. We are either living and walking in fear, or we are living and walking in faith. Faith overcomes fear. Or if you take your eyes off of Christ and you're focusing on your circumstances, you're focusing on your gas prices and your energy prices and your grocery prices and your health and your loved ones that are sick and war and all of the scary things. Yes, these things exist. They're very real, right? And we can feel those things. We can be honest about how that feels. But if your focus is only on your circumstances, then fear is what you're going to get. Fear is what you're going to live in. And that leads to absolute hopelessness. So I want to just read this story to you about Jesus and the disciples and going through this storm, because I think it's such a great picture of fear versus faith, and why we don't need to fear. We don't need to fear. So, story time. Then he got into the boat. This is talking about Jesus. And his disciples followed him. Suddenly, a furious storm came upon the lake, so that the waves swept over the boat. But Jesus was sleeping. How many of us have ever felt like that? Like, Jesus, you must be asleep at the wheel. Because are you seeing what's going on right now? Are you seeing what is going on in the world? Are you seeing what's going on in my life? Are you seeing what's going on around me? I don't feel like you're seeing it. Are you sleeping at the wheel? So this is how the disciples are feeling right now. Like, the storm is picking up, waves are washing over the boat. They're thinking, we're going to die out here, and Jesus is just sleeping. The disciples went and woke him, saying, Lord, save us. We're going to drown. How many of you feel like you're drowning today? Right? The disciples felt that way. Literally, we're going to drown, and you're sleeping. And he replied, you of little faith, why are you so afraid? Why are you so afraid? He's like, yeah, I know your circumstances. I'm here. I'm with you. Why in the world is Jesus sleeping in the midst of this storm? Right? We look at that and we're like, so he's not present, but he is present. The reason, think about when you're going through something, when you have all this worry and fear in your life, are you able to sleep? Because I'm not. I lay down my head and I have 1,000 thoughts running through my mind. And I'm not able to just sleep and rest. And yet Jesus is sleeping in complete peace. Why? Because he knew who was in control. And he knew what the outcome was. He knew the purpose that the Father had for his life and for those disciples' lives. And he was like, we aren't going to drown here today. We did not come out here on this boat to drown here today. We're passing through this storm. Yeah, it's rough. It is. But I know where we're going. I know exactly that God's plan for us is good, that God has a bigger purpose for my life, and he didn't bring me out here just to leave me and drown. Why am I going to worry about it? God's got this, right? So he is sleeping because he is in total peace, because he is living in absolute faith. He has nothing to fear, and he knows that because he's walking in God's purpose for his life. The disciples, however, forgot who was in control. Their eyes were on their circumstance, and so they were afraid. So he says, your fear is evidence that you are lacking in faith. Then he got up, he rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. The men were amazed and asked, what kind of man is this? Even the winds and the waves obey him. So keep that in mind. When you are struggling with your circumstance, instead of focusing on that circumstance and allowing that circumstance to dictate your thoughts, to dictate your fear, and to take your eyes off of Christ. Instead, look at your circumstances and remind them who your God is. Yeah, that budget seems really tight. Yeah, that loved one seems really sick. Yeah, there's a virus going around. Yeah, there's a war going on over there. But you know what? My God is bigger. My God is in control. And so I'm not going to fear, because I know that whatever the outcome, that God is using it, and it's going to be for good for those who love him and are walking in his purpose for their life. So I don't have to fear it. I can feel it, right? I can feel the pain. I can feel the struggle. But at the end of it, I can say, okay, despite all of that, I know that my God is in control. He is bigger, and I do not have to be afraid. I can walk in faith, and I can trust, and I can lay my head down at night, and I can sleep because I know that my God's got this. And one last verse I wanted to share with you, because I think a lot of us are struggling with the same thing, no matter what part of the world you're in. I would love to know what part of the world you're watching this from, but no matter what part of the world you're in, I think we're all feeling the crunch of inflation, of supply chain issues. There's been a lot of fear surrounding that, and I don't think that's going to be getting better anytime soon, but I also don't think that that's a reason to fear. So I just want to leave you with this encouragement. And I think it's also encouraging that this was written thousands of years ago. We are not the first people to fear these things or to struggle with these things, and yet we are here today. People have made it, and so I think it's encouraging that these things are not new. And here's what Matthew chapter 6 verse 25 says, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is life not more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They don't sow seeds, they don't reap a harvest, or store away in barns. Yet your heavenly Father feeds them. And are you not much more valuable than they are? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? And why do you worry about clothes? See how the flowers of the field grow? They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you that not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? So do not worry, saying, what shall we eat? What shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all of these things will be added to you as well. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. So whatever your trouble is today, I hope that you will just lay it at Jesus' feet. That you realize that no matter what your past is, no matter your circumstance, no matter what your relationship with faith or Christ has looked like up to this point, it doesn't matter. His hand is out to you, and in the midst of your struggle, he wants to hold you. He wants to take your hand and lead you through it and work it together for your good. So I hope that you will reach out to him today. I hope that you'll take his hand in whatever it is that you are struggling with, whatever is keeping you awake at night, whatever is weighing you down. I hope that you will just lay it at his feet and rest in peace, knowing that he's got you. He loves you more than the birds of the air, more than the flowers of the field, more than anything that he's created. And I think about the incredible, majestic mountains and the incredible depths of the sea and the vastness of the universe and all these amazing things that he's created. And out of all of them, he's like, none of that compares to you. I love you more than anything. And I just want you to come to me. Let me hold you. So be encouraged today. Walk in faith today. Set down your fear and know that God's got you. All right, you are loved. And below, I am going to list or link a song, and it's called In Jesus' Name. And that is my prayer for you today. I hope that you'll listen to it. It is so encouraging and uplifting. I've listened to it like 15 times at this point. It's a beautiful song. I hope you'll take time to listen to it. I've also linked the lyrics below to that. And so I hope that you'll listen and know that I am praying that over all of you, wherever you are today. That is my prayer for you. Let me know in the comments below if there's something I can be specifically praying for you. If you have a faith story that you want to share to encourage somebody today, I hope that you'll share that in the comments below. And in another video, I'm actually going to walk through Hebrews chapter 11. If you want to read it in advance, great. But I'm going to walk through it piece by piece because I think it's such a great picture of the heritage of faith that we can look at and some of the people that God called faithful. One of the last ones it mentions is Rahab. She was a prostitute and she was commended for her faith. So when you think about some of these people that God says were faithful and he commends them for their faith, I think you'll be encouraged. You do not have to be some saint up on a pedestal. You can come to God in all of your mess and be commended for your faith. So we're going to walk through Hebrews 11. I hope that you'll join me for that video. I think it'll be uplifting and encouraging. And I just hope that you have a good rest of your day. If you know of anybody who would be encouraged by this video, who needs a little bit of uplifting, I hope that you'll share this video with them. And I would love to hear from you again in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe if you want more homestead content, if you want more uplifting content. I hope that you'll hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.